Hello and welcome to minute 24, where, well, you'll see for yourself. Let's go. As you can see, a whole bunch of fire going back and forth. Mostly at these guys. The machine gunner tries to tag them, and the tanks continue to shoot the shit out of this. It's possible they've been given orders in the hope that they'll shoot high and hit our machine gun, but it's also possible they just think that there's still men in the bushes there. As you can see, nobody gets in this hedge. They all line up along this one, which is incredibly annoying because no one can actually see them there. And that was another artillery shell. Up here, not much. Fire goes back and forth. The AT gun is on AP rounds now, so it's not as effective. And they continue to kind of creep up into these bushes, but there's not much point in doing anything about them at the moment. We can't really get to them. Overall, relatively quiet, and right at the end there, the men have been told to recrew the bunker, so they get back in the bunker and just everything opens up on them. The tanks, the machine guns, and a man is knocked out. Unfortunate, but what can you do? Okay, here it is on this side. You'll see some desperate scrambling about as I realise just how serious this Allied push is, and move the guys into the best positions I can within trenches. This is the battalion HQ running the hell away, and this is the guy calling in the artillery site. He's over here because he can see it. But our first platoon is not going to hold this by themselves in all likelihood. They're going to need some help. The Marder, I think I've figured out what his spotting difficulties are. It's like there's a big fat tree right in front of him. It's blocking those two tanks, so if you can shuffle back a little bit, you can probably get a spot on one. But yeah, these guys are just area firing. They can't actually see anyone there. In fact, if we go back a bit, you can sort of see the only person that can see them is those guys. And this guy over here starts to spot guys as well, but he gets very quickly pinned because that entire fence is just full of Americans by the end of the turn. And you can see the pinning going up and up and up. There we go. Finally, let's take a look at the bunkers. You see the men in the Panzerschreck team and the 8th Company headquarters are very pinned by the tanks and machine guns, which they undoubtedly targeted the area just to keep these guys' heads down. But at the end of the turn, they decide, you know what, let's get back in the bunkers where it's apparently safe. So these bunkers are manned, but as you'll see, as soon as this one is recrewed, it just eats a whole lot of shit. Like bullets, the whole side just opens up on it, and then that air-bursting tank shell somehow kills the gunner. They'll reman it quickly, but even then there's a lot of difficulties with these trees and these hedges. I think with the hedges, they're like a quasi-bow cage thing, so their actual effect in game is a lot higher and denser than the visual would indicate, which is why we've had so many spotting difficulties the whole time across this map. But yeah, do a quick look. This is 1st Platoon. They're all in the trenches, except the commander who's trying to get some spots on this so they can actually call in the artillery strike. It's 5 minutes away at this point. If you try and adjust it, it goes out to 10 minutes. But in all honesty, I think we may as well just adjust it onto this hedge line right now and just eat the wait time, because it's going to get close and brutal really fast. This is one of the machine guns. You can sort of see a little bit here. This guy over here, he's doing good work potting a couple of guys down there. Headquarters unit for them. As you can see, he could see the tanks, but he's lost it. So these two guys can see the tanks. This headquarter unit could see the tanks. So the problem is the Marder has an turn on proper trees. The Marder is staring right into these things. So I think if I reverse him a little bit, he'll be able to get a shot on like probably only one tank, or at least only these two. So if I'm given permission, that's what I'll be doing with him. As for the rest of them, 3rd platoon is distributed throughout the world. These guys can sort of engage the tree line here, but they can't see past it into where the Americans actually are. I would recommend getting them into the fort and shuffling them around. Like this is going to come down to trench fighting at this rate. Panzer team here. Over here we have the garrison, 2nd platoon there or there. The big issue right now is this guy. He is in some deep shit. Because it's not immediately obvious, but you can see, once we're down at ground level, that's the top of the rise there. So nobody else, further down it slopes down very fast. Nobody else can see anything here, so we'd have to move them up to about this line to get shots on this, and they're already busy dueling with the Americans down on this one. Some of them are, some can't see anything, so there is, I think, 1 or 2 half squads free, but there's a lot of Americans, and this is prime Garand fire range, so I would not advise engaging them. Yeah, it's a interesting situation to say the least. Anti-tank gun doing some really good spotting, and he was the one who saw most of these guys, so I would recommend just leaving him there, even though he's abandoned it and decided he's just simply not going to recrew the gun, which is perfectly fine. Yeah. Oh, so this is sorry, where is it going? This is 2nd platoon. They're down 1 whole squad because they're all just dead over here. Unfortunately, I plan to have this guy, I believe, the man with the Panzerfaust, hide and then pop up at them. Didn't work because they spent the whole turn just dropping 75mm shells on them. But yeah, there's like a cornucopia of like weapons and stuff, and Panzerfausts and machine guns and just all the good stuff. So if we would if we were to retake it, I'm sure it'd be wonderful, but it seems unlikely. As you can see, these guys, I'll try and get if you come up to the very edge, you're about head height with these guys, you can sort of see that, but this rise and those very, very dense hedges prevent anything. But if they come up to the hedge line, we can see them. And if they do, they'll be in a world of hurt. If you turn around, yeah. Oop. Whoa, there's a reverse your view button. I never knew that. Whoa. Anyway. Yeah, just let me know. These guys, unfortunately, can't see shit. These trees are blocking pretty much it. This one can shoot the guys in here, but he just got whacked by a tank shell. This one can't see past this ultra dense hedgerow, sorry, not hedgerow, tree line. But if they try and press forward, he'll turn them into mincemeat. This one can't see past the very tall hedge. There's screenshots in the thread about that. Right, I'll go and look at the other side now. Oh, actually, the Marder is here. He shouldn't be visible to the Americans because he's still on the reverse slope. I'm not sure what the best thing to do with him is. Perhaps get him and just reverse him along this way so he comes down to the back of the fort and can provide support against any tanks picking their nose over, or try and send him to help his friend. This little nook and cranny in here was quite good. I wouldn't say that would be a miss, but I think having one Marder by himself is a bit suicidal, so keep them together is my advice, especially with this one over here losing the commander and having compromised spotting. Right, okay, onto the seaside. Okay, here we have the seaside. I'm just going to let the minute play out, but yeah, they're still engaging as much as they can. There is fire coming back. It's not necessarily quite so obvious because we don't see a lot of the traces, but there's definitely fire coming from this hedgerow. People are starting to get, well, less pinned, but the AT gun starts to pile up a bit of fire. Let me just pause it for a second so we get a good look at those spots. Yeah, they're just men on the hedgerows. I think the machine gun team up there, oh, the bazooka. I think the machine gun team up there got killed by the AT gun, so good work. Pat yourself on the back. I haven't seen any fire coming from it. And that's, I think, another mortar. Looks like a light mortar. It's probable they've just got an area fire mission around the town, so I wouldn't worry about it too much, because most people are in buildings or foxholes. Don't know if this is hitting anything, but it's at least making them put their heads down. Actually, what was that? I see fire going off in this direction, but I don't know why. Coming down that way? These guys have started shooting as well. That was weird. Oh, it must have been a ricochet off the house. Never mind. Ooh, I don't know what that was. That big explosion at the end. It must have been that. Just a quick close-up of the Americans. As you can see, hedge line full of Americans. And it looks like the AT gun got another guy right there at the end. Let's go back and look at that again. He's gone. Yeah, that's one who was killed previously. And it looks to me like the actual AT gun shell turned him into pulp, because the explosion was over there, so an AP shell went right through that guy. Ouch. But yeah, overall, I've got them firing. We're doing what we can. I think this is just a platoon with a little bit of their like natural heavy weapon support. Right. We'll let this run down, but yeah. Not a lot to report, really. Cool. On to the next.